Prediction Markets Edge on the early line. It's a time for fun, as we like to say, and a new way to invest and take a different perspective in some of these sporting events and also maybe some of those political environments as well. Donnie Wright along with Joe Ranier. We got you for a half hour. Time to get predictive, Joe. How do you feel about that?
I'm excited, Donnie.
Yeah.
I'm looking very forward to this weekend. Obviously, Final Four, eventual national championship, but it does feel good that we've got a lot of afternoon baseball and some things coming up here, especially postseason-wise in the NHL and NBA. Some great markets to jump in on here.
Fantastic market to jump in on, which includes basketball. Tonight, we're going to hit the Association down in Miami for 7:30 p.m. Eastern tip time. It's the Boston Celtics in town to take on the Miami Heat. If we take a look at the Kalshi marketplace, currently trading as a favorite to win this at a 65% chance, it is the Boston Celtics. Miami's the underdog at 35% as a chance for victory here. If we include the point spread at 4.5, currently trading at 52% as a chance to cover for the Boston Celtics. And a total, Joe, listed at 28.5, that trading directly at 50%.
This feels like one of those games, Donnie, where it's forget the spread. Although, what is it, 5.5 now? It feels like either Miami gets blown out or wins the game outright. And that's the two choices with these two teams.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, with as much as Jaylen Brown has been talking over the last couple about how awful he played in that loss to the Atlanta Hawks last game, yeah, I'm expecting big things from him. I know Tatum has already been cleared. He is going in this one after sitting that one out against Atlanta. That was the second of a back-to-back. So this is a lot of basketball for these two teams here down the stretch. It means more to Miami, or needs it more than Boston does, but something tells me this has got blowout written all over it. But look at Brown's numbers here tonight, because as much as he's talking, expect a better effort out of him.
Just so you know, Joe, if you feel Jaylen Brown gets 30-plus points tonight in this game, a $100 investment there would pay back $239. Using some of those extra fuel for the fire that maybe propels you to a big-time scoring game. We'll find out. Atlanta's going to take on Orlando tonight. Atlanta actually trading as the favorite here, Joe, despite being on the road at 60%. If you take a look at the underdog Orlando Magic, currently trading at 40% here. If we include the point spread tonight, Atlanta by 3.5 points, currently trading at 54 cents, which means a $100 investment on the favorite tonight to cover by 4+ points would require back a payment of $186 from the prediction market.
Yeah, I mean, listen, nice win by Orlando last night at home against the team that's been rolling here in the Phoenix Suns. But second night of a back-to-back, and can they build off of that win? Well, they might if they were playing the Wizards, but I just can't trust them, Donnie, in that the Magic have been too inconsistent. What happened to the defensive-minded Orlando Magic? They have no identity and can't trust them to put back-to-back wins together. So to me, I would only look at the Hawks, and with the way they're playing, I kind of think an under is in play as well, because the Hawks quietly have been pretty dominant over the last month here defensively versus teams.
Looking at some of those player props here, and if we're looking at the Atlanta Hawks, Jonathan Kuminga, if he gets 15-plus points tonight on Kalshi, a $100 investment, Joe, would pay back $345. Let's go to college basketball. Wait a second. It's a Final Four tonight? No, it's not. Championship game? How about this? The Crown at 8 p.m. tonight. Oklahoma going to take on Colorado. If we look at trading right now, Oklahoma, a 79% chance to win this game outright. Colorado listed at 21%. If we include the point spread, Oklahoma by 9.5 points, currently trading, Joe, exactly at 50 cents, which means if you think Oklahoma wins this game by 10 or more points, no juice. A $100 investment would pay back an even $200.
Yeah, this is, again, the Crown Tournament that takes place. We saw this last year. The problem with last year's Crown Tournament is that it was really kind of like a spring training type of situation for teams to take a look at younger players that, might be signed and make the team next year. That's not the case with this Oklahoma team. Oklahoma, all of their veterans, their entire team, including their top two scorers, Nigel Pack and Xavier Brown, are playing. And Oklahoma, if you remember down the stretch, Donnie, was no joke. I mean, this was a team that was laying it out there and finally figured it out with Porter Moser. It's not like they don't have guys, they don't have players, but it took them, unfortunately, a little too long to figure it out. But there's a reason why this line has moved as much as it has. Sorry, Tad Boyle there in the Colorado Buffaloes. Oklahoma Sooners by a zillion in this one tonight.
And by the way, some of those markets that we just talked about, hey, why don't you take a player points prop to go over the number? You have the props mentioned market tonight in college basketball for this tournament. And the favorite, Joe, at 87%. Will they say transfer or transferred tonight? $100 investment pays back $115, Joe, for the Crown tournament where you know players are probably already transferred out and are coming in. Maybe $15 here to buy yourself a pizza ain't such a bad option here, no?
I kind of like it, Donnie. Get those mentioned markets in. Again, given the situation, it's very hard to imagine a broadcast without some of those being said.
How about this? Let's go over to Major League Baseball and talk some Pittsburgh Pirates, Cincinnati Reds. And, Joe, you talked about it on the early line already. You think this number still might be cheap for Paul Skeens here? Well, Pittsburgh is a favorite in this game, Joe, currently trading at 60%. Cincinnati, the underdog, at 40%. If you want to bring in the run line, Pittsburgh by a run and a half, that's currently trading at 47%. How about that, Joe? Skeens, is he still cheap for you here?
Yeah, he is. And I would look at maybe a strikeout prop as well. I mean, it didn't go well for him in his 67.5 ERA in that first start against the Mets. Didn't make it out of the first inning. But something tells me Donnie's got a pretty good shot at getting out of the first inning against a Reds team. And the Pirates have been hitting, by the way. They've been scoring some runs. They won again last night. And I have no doubt that they'll score just enough runs to back Skeens, who I think is going to look to right the ship here a little bit. So this is all about Paul Skeens' ability to get guys out on the Reds.
You know what I need to see right away in this game? A line drive to center field to see if that ball actually gets caught today, if it goes overhead or falls in between and Skeens gets upset again. A 67.5 ERA for Paul Skeens. Yeah, that's going to come down lower today. We'll see if he can also pick up the victory for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Let's go over to Milwaukee, which we told you also, Joe. Ooh, chilly, 35, 36 degrees here, wind blowing around. It's okay. We're in a dome. Baseball will be played. Tampa Bay's on the road to take on Milwaukee. The Miz is on the mound for the Brewers, currently trading at a 57% chance to win this game. Tampa Bay, the underdog, with Rasmussen on the mound, 43%. If you think Milwaukee wins by the run line at 1.5, that's a 39% chance, which means, Joe, $100 investment on Milwaukee winning by 2 or more runs would play back $257.
Yeah, but it's look at the total in this game, Donnie, with these two starting pitchers. I mean, Rasmussen lights out. Last season here, another guy that averages 7 to 8 strikeouts a game. I mean, we already know what Miz is doing, right? We're talking about a guy that's averaging, 11 strikeouts here. Does tend to walk maybe an extra guy or two. But the bottom line, with such a low total, the bullpens, the minute it gets to the bullpens, it could get ugly for the Rays. But I like that first 5. I like fewer runs, not more runs, as long as these two guys are on the mound.
Yeah, interesting ways to look at it. Again, you're getting those aces back on the mound for the second time here. Getaway days, a little bit different. Not used to that whole process of the Major League Baseball season just yet. But also on these predictive markets, Joe, you can bet who's going to hit a home run in these games as well. And if we just take a look at this one, the Miz is a really good pitcher, so it's going to compound. Decrease those price points here that you can actually get, which means profitability if your guy can hit a home run. Junior Caminero did a home run today, Joe, only trading at 19 cents. He goes yard, $100 investment would pay back $527. So even though you have a good pitcher on the mound, just means better pricing here if your guy can hit a home run, Joe.
Don't hate it at all there. And, the walks prop, too, might not be a bad way to go. But, usually you get on these getaway days, the strike zones, well, not at ABS this year, usually got bigger. Guys were swinging more. Let's hurry up and get to the plane, and let's get out of here.
Christian Yelich, think he's going to hit a home run in this one. 14 cents. Here's what he's trading at. $100 investment pays back $7.15, people. Predictive Markets Edge on the early line on a Wednesday. April Fool's edition. How about that?
It's not sustainable. Pitches throwing too hard and not being healthy, so that don't benefit anybody as well. So it's better to, if a guy throw a 97, why not just throw 94, 93 and learn how to pitch? And then you can last longer. So it's more about keeping the product, on the field and being on a consistent basis.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
What about the expansion stuff?
Yeah, but doesn't it make a lot of sense, Kevin? So but it's 28-29. He's already talked about, I'm playing in the Olympics in 2028. Retirement isn't on KD's mind right now. Play in the Olympics in 2028, and then the 2029 season, play where it all started, baby. Seattle.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
I wonder if you could argue UConn's more overseeded than, like, the idea that UConn was battling for a 1 seed, quite frankly, never made any of sense to me when you look at where their metrics were stacked.
UConn will be great as long as they don't play St. John's, apparently, in the tournament. They're good to go there. But you put them at a 5, Kevin. Now here we go again, like last year, Bill Self versus Rick Pitino.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball announced yesterday that they will be having a partnership this season with a company that we've come to be very familiar with over the last 6 months. Polymarket is the exclusive prediction market partner of Major League Baseball and the only platform allows to use teams, logos, and marks. Representing the latest pro league to embrace the prediction markets.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
I know it's not your fault. Back at it, people. Prediction Markets Edge on the early line, having some fun and talking even more topics that you can invest your money in, which includes, Joe, the Masters. Sure, you can get down. But before we get to the Masters, it's the Valero Texas Open winner, the favorite, Ludwig Aberg here, Joe, sitting there at 6%. Tommy Fleetwood, 6%. Jordan Spieth, 5%. I don't see here at the top of the leaderboard, Scotty Scheffler. Anytime there's no Scheffler, seems like we got some open investments that might be able to get to here. How about that?
Yeah, and listen, it's a tournament that's the final tune-up for the Masters, right, for a lot of these guys. But we had talked about it earlier. There are some guys here that need a big showing in order to be able to make it to Augusta, which is a big, for some of these lesser-known guys, Donnie, that is what it is all about. Michael Thorbjornsen, by the way, is one of those guys who kind of choked it away on the back nine in Houston last week, finished tied for 14th, which did not give him enough points in order to be able to receive the invite to the Masters next week. He can if he wins this tournament this week. So he's number 1 on the PGA Tour in driving. There's some wind that's going to play a factor in the Valero Open. He has been close. Top 4 finishes. He's had a few of them over the last year. He's the kind of guy, exactly the kind of guy at a nice number I'd be looking at to win this whole thing.
How about Spieth from Texas, playing in Texas, Joe, currently trading at 5% here. $100 investment will pay back $2,000 if Jordan Spieth can come away with a victory here at the Valero. Let's flip it over to the World Cup. And we talked about it many times this morning already on the early line. No Italy included in the World Cup, so they can't win it here. But the favorite currently is on the Calcio marketplace here. It's Spain at 17%, followed by England at 12.3, France at 12, Argentina 9.4, Brazil 9.3. It's a loaded leaderboard, which sees Spain as the favorite right now to get the job done.
Yeah, I mean, Spain, what do we got? England, France, all going to be at the top of that leaderboard there. And what were they? The Euro winners, Spain, I think, in 2024. That's some real chalky prices there, Donnie. Are they not? I think the defending champion is what, Argentina? Can you count out Brazil? I would love to look at maybe some of the matchups and the group pairings too as well once they're available, because I think there's some opportunities early on in the World Cup to jump into some of these markets. But right now, Spain, England, and France, those are just too chalky for my taste.
Bosnia and Herzegovina, Joe, currently trading at 2 cents here. I believe that's a team that knocked Italy out of the World Cup here, and they qualify for it. But how about the good old USA, Joe? 2.4%. You know what that means? A $100 investment pays back $4,167 if they can win the World Cup. Maybe they can win their stage. Maybe that number can increase, but the expectation certainly not as high on the international stage as some of our other teams here that do compete here. Let's flip it over to the NHL. They're coming down the stretch. Playoff runs trying to happen, particularly here in Philadelphia. But the Hart Trophy, which means, Joe, the best player in the NHL, currently trading here on Polymarket with Nathan McKinnon at a 48% chance to win that award. Kucherov, McDavid, Celebrini, and Werenski behind him. But the favorite right now is Nathan McKinnon.
And, he should be, Donnie, because he's been absolutely ridiculous. And this is not a new phenomenon either with him. And you're looking at just about even money with him, Donnie, right now, right? But at the same time, something tells me if Colorado goes on a run here, right through, that could very well, that market could increase over the next month or so here. So getting it at even money is not a bad proposition, I think.
By the way, Joe, I keep sliding this down here in the marketplace, and I don't see Matvei Michkov listed here as a chance for the Hart Trophy. Must be an error here in the prediction markets. Maybe not. But how about the NHL Atlantic Division winner? Take a look at these two teams vying for it, Joe, and it's a close race. The Tampa Bay Lightning currently trading at 51%. And also the Buffalo Sabres at 44% here. If you take a look at that graph, wasn't too long ago that Tampa Bay on February the 23rd had a 90% chance here of what they were trading at. Getting a little bit closer at this point in the season, Joe.
Yeah, it is, but it still feels like the entire Eastern Conference as well, just a three-horse race, right? It's Carolina, it's Tampa, and it's Buffalo. And between the Atlantic market there and the Eastern Conference market, I don't know that I'd be looking any further down the board there than those three teams anyway. But I do think Buffalo is becoming that trendy pick here across the boards, especially in these prediction markets, Donnie, because if you look at what they were a month and a half ago and compare to where they are now, they're getting a whole lot of love in the markets.
No doubt about it. And by the way, you have that heavy lead there, at least in the predictive market spot there for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Did you know March 22nd, though, Buffalo is actually trading at 56% to Tampa Bay's 42%. So down the stretch they come, lead here, lead there, bad goal here, bad goal there. Could change that marketplace here. But currently Tampa Bay, 51% is the favorite here on Kalshi. Let's flip it over to the Jack Adams Award. You know what that award is, Joe? The best coach in the NHL. A wide margin right now. Lindy Ruff and those Buffalo Sabres, 66%, followed by John Cooper and Joel Quenneville, the ageless Joel Quenneville.
Coach Q in Anaheim. What happened is Cassidy not a no? Okay, that's right. He was fired. I think that award is already finished there, Nadia. I can't imagine anybody outside of Lindy Ruff getting that with the turnaround in the season the Buffalo Sabres have had here. To me, it's give it to them. I think it's already done. I'm kind of shocked it's that cheap, if we're being honest.
By the way, you know what I like to have fun with, Joe, is I take a look at the Jack Adams Award. You know, I like to scroll down the list and try to find out. In the NFL, scroll down. Of course, I know every single coach. Major League Baseball, I'd say probably 90% of the managers I can rip off, fairly easily when I see the names. But I got to tell you, let me ask you a couple questions here. Lane Lambert, does that name ring a bell? Like, who does he coach for, Joe? Do you even know?
Oh, you love Lane Lambert. Isn't that your Flyers head coach?
That was, at least I know Rick Tocchet here, the potato head that's in our city right
Tocchet.
now. Yeah.
Liar.
Oh, we know Tocchet. How about Chris Knobloch here? I mean, that guy used to play second base for the Yankees. Who's that guy?
He was actually turned a couple of nice double plays there when he caught the ball, Donnie. That was the problem. He didn't really catch the ball altogether there. And what is Knobloch actually? What is he trading at?
Pretty low at this 15%, 14% at this point right now.
Yeah, no. Lindy Ruff, man. That's all you got to know. Lindy Ruff.
Look, I know Rod Brindamore, a previous Flyer here. Yep. We got who else? Craig Berube, a previous Flyer. Paul Maurice. I believe Paul Maurice might have actually been a previously Flyers coach as well. Just goes to show you we're up on everything you need to know in the prediction markets and more fun topics on the way. Dial right here.
I wait until I get the tournament bracket. Then you'll see me start to talk about who makes a run, who's right to get picked off. You go back to last year, look at St. John's, right? They were on a roll. They got Arkansas, who was a better version of St. John's.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
You know, you don't usually get Alabama basketball booked at less than 160. You're getting that now here. The real question is Aiden Holloway done for the tournament for an Alabama team who, you know, we've seen under Nate Oates, they're more than capable of getting themselves to a Sweet 16 and Elite 8 and maybe even beyond that.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
9+ sounds pretty good here, Donnie, at around even money, right?
Ooh.
I got no problem there, trading at 54 cents. And again, all the pressure is on the higher seeds and the favorites, right? Start getting into that 4 or 5 minute mark in the second half, and you're down double digits. Some teams, it does not get better, Donnie. They don't pull themselves up off the court.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
The NBA Central sent out a tweet yesterday. Hornets announcer Eric Collins says Jalen Duren is one of his favorite players to watch. Quote, I like talking about that body of his cut up like coleslaw, end quote. Interesting.
Yeah. Not quite sure what the reference to coleslaw is. No idea, Donnie. I have no idea.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Right back at it, Prediction Markets Edge on the Early Line. Talking a little Major League Baseball here. It's early in the season and some top performers not performing all that well. Let's take a look at the NL MVP market, and it's Shohei Ohtani. No surprise as the favorite, trading at 47%, followed by Soto, a distant 14%. Acuna, Tatis, Bregman down to 3% here. If Ohtani stays healthy and is just average, it's his award, Joe. And he's currently trading at 47% just a few games into the season.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine, Donnie, Lamar gets like swinging that much after what, 5 games, 6 games? Like, stop it. A lot going on here. The only question you got to make with Ohtani is that after what you saw on the mound last night and how they have brought him along, is he more capable of winning the Cy Young, or is he more capable of winning the MVP? I think that's the quandary that you've got. And why not bet him in both markets, Donnie? I don't think you can go wrong because he's going to be in the conversation for both throughout the year.
Yeah, if you're like going all the way down the list, you're trying to look for guys that can do something special, right? Maybe it's 50 stolen bases, 30 home runs, a guy like Ellie De La Cruz. But I always get back to Philadelphia with Kyle Schwarber. The chance to hit 50-plus home runs is always there. He's got a couple already on the season. Not a high batting average, but he's only trading at 3%, Joe. A $100 investment on Schwarber pays back $5,000. But it is going to be Ohtani at this point. It's almost like you're just, hey, if Ohtani gets hurt, who next here is going to have it? I just look for those big numbers. Who can hit home runs? Who can have a ton of hits here? Who can drive in a lot of runs? And maybe that's the way you go here. The AL MVP market, Joe, always up in the air, and seems like it's always going to land on Aaron Judge. He's struggling to start the year, but still trading, Joe, currently at 33%. Bobby Witt Jr. for Kansas City, 18%, followed by Julio Rodriguez at 9% as a chance. But it's Aaron Judge, despite the cold start, still holding on to that advantage early.
And he will. I mean, when we started out the year last year, Donnie, it was amazing how it was like, all right, the odds were just rename the award after Ohtani and Judge. And then all of a sudden, Donnie, we're going, wow, is he even money right now with Cal Raleigh? I mean, that just tells you everything you need to know about how this market can swing. So if you think the market, you're buying low in the market for one of these guys, yeah, because any stretch of 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or a month, Donnie, of them absolutely destroying the ball or doing great things, you can absolutely get out. A guy like Witt, with the fences moved in now in Kansas City, He's a guy, Donnie, that will absolutely garner a whole lot of market movement here when he starts getting it going there for the Kansas City Royals.
No doubt about it. Just a time like, when do you want to buy in on Aaron Judge? He's not going to struggle. He's going to come home to his little tiny ballpark in New York City and bash out some home runs, but currently trading at 33% as the favorite here. Pro Baseball Championship Series matchup, Joe. Not who's going to win it, who's going to get there from each league. Of course, the favorite, first three listed all the way down. The NL, Dodgers. But to match up with them is the question. Seattle versus LA, trading at 42.5% right now. Baltimore versus LA, how about at 40%? And then the New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers at 36.2%. The one thing we know is everybody's loading up on the Dodgers, but the question again, Joe, who's going to get there from the American League to match up with them?
Well, and that's a big question right here, Donnie. We seem to have forgotten that the reigning champion, I believe, is the Toronto Blue Jay. I'm just saying. So stranger things have happened. I mean, the Rangers look improved. There's a lot of other teams, I think, and I don't think it's about seeing it through, Donnie, to the actual matchup. I think it's about picking a team and buying in and just hold it there and see if they can't compete for one of the best records in Major League Baseball in the American League, and you will absolutely buy low and be able to sell high way before we get to that point.
You want to make a free $17.65 here on the season, Joe? How about this on the poly market angle? Perfect game thrown in 2026, an 18% chance, which means a $100 investment pays back $117 on the no, Joe. I don't think we had a no-hitter even last year. A perfect game in 2026. Yeah, I'm going against that, Joe. Give me my $17.
We came close. I believe a couple of the no-hitters that were close last year were close also, I think, to being perfect. But it obviously didn't happen because we haven't had a no-hitter, much less a perfect game, since 2024. So, yeah, I think the chances of that kind of no-hitter going, take the 17. Take the $17 there, Donnie. It's probably easy money.
Quick wild card topic here. How high, Joe, is unemployment going to get before 2030 here? Currently, right now, it's listed at 4.4% as late as February. Gas is going higher. You got till 2030, Joe. Do you think it gets above 5%? Absolutely, I do. What do you think?
Well, I mean, read a lot of the forecasts and things. They're talking about, AI replacing all of us here, Donnie. So by 2030, would it really shock you if it was above that?
By the way, how do the people know we're not AI right now, Joe, at this point? Sometimes our microphones go out. Sometimes we freeze on screen. You just never know. It is what it is. But Prediction Markets Edge, we'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. See you on a Thursday.
It's not sustainable. Pitches throwing too hard and not being healthy, so that don't benefit anybody as well. So it's better to, if a guy throwing 97, why not just throw 94, 93 and learn how to pitch? And then you can last longer. So it's more about keeping the product, on the field and being on a consistent basis.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
What about the expansion stuff?
Yeah, doesn't it make a lot of sense, Kev? So but it's 28-29. He's already talked about, I'm playing in the Olympics in 2028. Retirement isn't on KD's mind right now. Play in the Olympics in 2028, and then the 2029 season, play where it all started, baby. Seattle.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
I wonder if you could argue UConn's more overseeded than, the idea that UConn was battling for a 1 seed, quite frankly, never made any sense to me when you look at where their metrics were stacked.
UConn will be great as long as they don't play St. John's, apparently, in the tournament. They're good to go there. But you put them at a 5, Kevin. Now here we go again, like last year, Bill Self versus Rick Pitino.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball announced yesterday that they will be having a partnership this season with a company that we've come to be very familiar with over the last 6 months. Polymarket is the exclusive prediction market partner of Major League Baseball and the only platform allows to use teams, logos, and marks. Representing the latest pro league to embrace the prediction markets.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.